Hi guys, good evening. Welcome to this week's recruitment drive. Today we'll talk about the entire American dream, the Miles US pathway, how you guys can go to the US and start working there and all of that, right? Let's make this session very interactive, guys. Some Can someone from the tech team leave the joining shortly banner on? Like, can you please keep the screen presented for a while? I think people are still joining in. So until then, let's do a small activity. Let's try and keep this entire session very interactive with each other. So what we can do is we can start putting in your name, where you guys work, how many years of experience you guys have, and things like that. So this will kind of help me understand what are the roles that you guys are currently working at, and what are the roles that can suit you guys when you move to the US, right? To start off, my name is Franklin. I've been working here at Miles for the last uh, 2 years now. And yeah, so guys, just to like give you guys a brief understanding of what is going on, right? So why is this entire Miles US pathway created and all of that? So one of the main reason is because of the shortage that is there of accountants in the US. All right. Now, to understand like more about the shortage, why is there a shortage itself? Like, why is there a shortage, and what are the opportunities that are present for you guys? How you can take advantages of that is something that we will kind of learn in this entire recruitment drive. In the next 30 to 45 minutes, I'll try and solve all your doubts that you guys have regarding the entire process, right? Hi, Tanay Chakravarti. Welcome to this week's recruitment drive. Please do make sure that you guys keep adding in your name, your where you guys work, and what do you guys do? Like, if you're a fresher, that's completely all right. You can mention that you're a fresher. If you guys have experience in audit, tax, or accounting, right? So it makes it easier for me to understand, like, to see if this pathway is for you at all in the first place. All right. So it will be really great. And how many years of experience you guys have, that also makes a lot of difference, right? Yeah. Hi Kunal, how are you doing today? Hi, Shrikant. Awais says that he's worked in Dubai as a finance manager. That's amazing. Awesome. Sheetal has mentioned that hi, Sheetal, welcome. And Rahul has mentioned that he has 5 years of experience in banking. Amazing, amazing. All right. So these are all great experiences. And as we go on the webinar, we'll also kind of see how we have alumni who have similar kind of experiences with each and every one of y'all here. Like, someone might be a fresher. We have a alumni who is placed in the US as a fresher. You might have 10 plus years of experience. We'll have an alumni who's placed in the US with great salaries, with who has 10 plus years of experience. All right. So do not feel that you are excluded. Do not feel that this might something which is something that's not for you. Right. So we have more than 1,000 alumni who are in the US. And yeah. And another thing that I want to highlight, that I want to kind of understand is, okay, you guys want to move to the US, but why? Right? Why becomes a very important question, because you'll the entire reason, right? So if you do not have a reason, then it's like you're just going there for fun, and it's like if you do not take it seriously, then what's the point of spending so much money and going to the US itself, right? So why becomes very important. For example, your why can be answered in two different things, right? Either you want to go to the US to increase your salary, right? Right now you're earning 1x. Let's say if you're earning 10 lakh rupees in India, you want to go to the US to make it 5x and earn 50 lakh rupees in the US, right? So that becomes like your purpose becomes money, right? So that is what that will drive you. And I understand over here a lot of people might be little hesitant to say that, yeah, money is what drives me, but that is the truth, right? Why am I here on a Saturday evening doing a webinar, right? It is because that money is something that drives me. right? So a simple thing for everyone is that money drives everyone, right? That's basic simple things, right? Why do businesses run? Businesses also run for money, right? So there's nothing to be shy about that or be hesitant about telling that out loud. All right. Another second reason why you might want to go to the US is because of the experience, right? You as a kid, you've seen movies, you've seen TV shows like Friends or Office and all of that, and or Suits, where you might want to work in Manhattan and things like that, right? You want to have that experience of working in the US, right? So that can be another reason, right? So yeah, I can see a lot of comments that are there. Um, so Durga has mentioned that he has 2+ years of experience in fund accounting. That's great. I think you might be a perfect candidate for some of the firms, right? Uh, yeah. Thanks, Aditya. So we will be taking up. You can keep dropping in all your questions over here. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the entire webinar. All right. So Sunita Kumar working as tax compliance audit, 12 years of experience. Amazing. Perfect. You're already a US CMA. Amazing. That's great, guys. All right. So it's already 7:06. For the benefit of everyone who's here right now, we'll just get started. All right. Let me present my screen. Okay, guys. So keep make sure you guys keep dropping in your comments or your questions that you guys have on the chat as in when we pass each slide. Okay. So for example, if I'm going on a slide and if you guys have any particular question, just mention the slide number or what we are talking about over there and mention it in the comments. We'll come back and we'll make sure that we answer all your doubts and questions. All right. My goal or my takeaway from this entire webinar, what it would be is if all your doubts are cleared about the entire pathway. All right. So that's the main goal from this webinar. And let's start off by understanding, like, there's the saying, right? Huge shortage of accountants. America wants you, right? So let's take it line by line. Huge shortage of accountants. Why is there a shortage of accountants in the US? Right. So for this, we'll have to go back 2 decades, right? So and kind of understand what happened in our sister industry. Like right now we are in the accounting industry. If we look at tech, what happened over there, right? So if you go back to the 1980s, 1990s, there was something called as the tech bubble. And there was a huge crisis in the tech industry where there was an entire, the dot-com bubble that bursted and a lot of things started coming out, right? Because of which the tech industry was completely shattered, and due to that, a lot of there was a shortage of techies in the US. All right. So what techies did, or what techies in the US did, was they found two solutions to their shortage of workforce. Right. Number one is they found a pathway for outsourcing. Right, which means they set up tech offices in countries like India. Right. So that is when Bangalore became like a tech hub for India, and it became the Silicon Valley where there were a lot of jobs for Indians in India itself, and there was opportunities created in India, right? So that was option one. Option two was they created pathways for techies to work in the US, right? Now, how they did that was they partnered with universities and then they created a master's in accounting program. They started inviting Indians to come study there and things like that, right? And because of all of those things, there are a lot of techies in India who are very famous, right? For example, the recent presidential candidate, some of the big CEOs in the US, right? For example, Sundar Pichai, right? He's the CEO of Alphabet, he's and Google, right? So if you just look at his past, right? He's done a BTech from IIT, then he's done his master's from Stanford, and he's also done his MBA, right? Now, all these courses are STEM certified, and because of which he started to get opportunities to work in the US itself, right? From there, he worked his way up, and Sundar Pichai, who he is right now, because of the entire pathway that was created to him at that point, right? Now, because of people like this, what happened in the tech industry? got influenced on our parents, right? Because there are so many people in the tech industry to look up to, and there's a set pathway to go to the US, right? Now, if you look at our parents, right, Indian parents, um, when you guys would have passed your 10th, you would have been given a choice, right? Either do science or commerce, right? But this choice came with a small discrimination, right? So if you would have got 80% and above in your 10th, you would get your science course. But if you got anything less than that, you'd be given commerce, right? But if you got even lesser than that, then you're an art student, right? So that's how we got discriminated at that very young age itself, right? And why did that discrimination happen? Why was tech kept at like on a pedestal for all of us, right? Now, if we go and see that, what do our Indian parents like to do? Right? They like to gossip, right? In simple, very brief terms, they like to gossip, right? And they want to boast of that their son, their daughter is studying in the US, is working in the US, and things like that, right? So when we were at that stage, the only pathway for anyone to go to the US was through tech. I'm not saying that there wasn't anything there for accountants. We'll definitely come to that, what was there. But the ROI that our Indian parents saw was in tech field, right? Now, I can just show you what that is. This is the slide, right? A typical tech who can go to the US would complete their BTech in India. They'll pursue their masters in computer science for in their US university for 18 months, and then they'll get a 3-year OPT. Right? Now, what is a 3-year OPT? Is OPT stands for optional practical training, which means you can on your student F1 visa itself, you will get to train at a firm, which is basically like a full-time job for 3 years, right? And beyond 3 years, if you're working at a company for 3 years, if the employer decides to sponsor your H1B, then you can continue working in the US itself, right? Now, Indian parents saw this very beneficial compared to what the rules were for accountants, right? And that is the main reason tech was promoted a lot, right? And because tech was being promoted so much, people were not choosing courses in accounting, right? In the US. So because of that, there came a shortage, right? Now, why Indian parents didn't put a lot of pressure on students to become or their children to become accountants. That's also something that we learned. But there came a shortage because a lot of people were choosing tech related courses. Right now, for example, if you look at this slide, the number of businesses that have grown in the US from 2019 to 2023, it's gone from 3.5 million to 5.5 million, but the number of CPAs has reduced significantly from 23,000 to 17,000 CPAs that have passed out last year. The numbers for this year have still not come out, but it's not looking good looking at the trends that are here, right? Now, what this means, why am I talking about this? This means that every accountant has to do the books of 50 companies, right? Now, just imagine if one accountant is sitting and doing the books of 50 companies, what is the condition of that person? He's number one, overworked. Number two, he'll be stressed out. He'll have nothing else to do. And that is where the entire phrase comes of accountants are boring, right? So what and it not just affects them, in terms of working long hours and not being boring, and not just that, it just takes a huge toll on them even mentally, right? Everyone must be on LinkedIn and reading the news that happens at some of the big companies, right? You guys know how much of a toll it takes on health of people as well, right? And this is just not fair, like in just general sense, right? And let's leave all of that. Let's come to the part. Let's just say if all the accountants one day decide that they're not going to do so much work, they're not going to be overworked, what happens then? What happens if audits are not filed and compliances are not followed, right? So just to show you guys how significant accountants are in the industry, we've just taken a small case study, right? So there came out a post recently on Wall Street Journal where Tupperware reported saying that they can't file their annual results because of the shortage of accountants, right? Because of which they had to delay it. Now, in a more recent news, Tupperware has filed for bankruptcy, right? Now, if you guys can just think about the significance of this entire thing, let's just say there were enough accountants to file annual results or to do the books of Tupperware, right? What could have happened? Everyone knows that big companies takes out a lot of debt. Debt is one of their main sources of financing, right? Now, let's say if there were enough accountants, Tupperware could have underwritten some of the loans that were there. They could have they could have revalued some of the assets that they've had. They could have used that as collateral, increased their line of credit, done taken a additional overdraft, or done one of the 100 million things that are possible to keep their operations running, right? That could have happened, but that is not there because of the shortage of accountants, right? Now, let's not just talk about Tupperware. Tupperware is a company, right? It's one single company. Let's just imagine what would happen on the macro. Let's say that, the stock market, right? All of these companies are valued. Let's say a few big companies do not file their quarterly reports, do not share their quarterly results, right? What would happen, right? Everyone in the public would think that something is wrong with the company. They are doing something illegal or something that is unethical, and that is why those results are not published, right? Everyone, it's a general thing that comes to people's mind, because of which the value of the stocks can go down, right? At the end of the day, the people who will be affected are people like you and I, right? So you guys get it, right? You guys get the point of the shortage of accountants. You guys understand why accountants are important in this economy, right? And just to give you guys in terms of numbers, every year America needs about 126,000 accountants, right? But accountants who graduate every year are only 72,000. And the shortage is about 53,000 accountants every year, right? And it's not just me telling here, right? You guys can just go on Google, search shortage of accountants. You'll get N number of articles that show up, right? And we have also made a small video. I'd like to show that to you guys, which is about the shortage of accountants.
The global economy is in crisis. There's a huge accountant shortage, and America wants you.
There are 17% fewer accountants employed.
300,000 accountants and auditors leave the profession.
So let me get this straight. We're currently short on eggs, butter, and accountants.
Miles has cracked the puzzle for Indian accountants to work in the U.S. for 3 years. Become a flag bearer for Indian accounting talent as you live the great American dream. The global economy is in crisis.
Yeah. So you guys kind of get the gist, right? You guys kind of understand what is going on in the field, right? Now let's move forward and try to see what was there, right? I had told you earlier that there was a pathway for Indian accountants also to go there. But our parents kind of protected us and said, no, you have to move. If you want to go to the US, then the tech is something that you have to do, not accounting, not commerce. So take the tech pathway, right? The reason why they told us that is because the pathway for techies was you complete your BCom in India, you pursue your master's in accounting from a US university. And the difference from the the tech pathway is that instead of getting a 3-year OPT, you only get a 1-year OPT, right? Now we did a little bit of math and we kind of understood why our parents were trying to protect us. So your approximate total expense would be around 48,000, right? Your earning potential, that is, let's say you get a job at one of the top accounting firms and they decide to pay you the same thing that Miles is offering, right? Miles says that your starting salary will be $60,000. Let's say you also crack that, right? $60,000 your earning potential. Your student loan that you pay off, the taxes, the interest on student loan, the taxes, your cost of living, and after all of that, your approx net loss would be around $16,000, right? So that is the main reason why our parents were saying, go through the tech pathway if you want to go study in the US or if you want to go work in the US. Accounting is not something that we can do, right? Because it just doesn't make sense, right? No one would want to make a loss, right? So, yeah. Now, what did Miles do? How did we crack the puzzle to make it entirely profitable or in the green for accountants, right? So we used the same tech playbook and we leveraged one small thing that the techies were doing different. That was STEM, right? So all the tech programs are STEM certified, right? Now, what we did was we partnered with US universities and we recommended that they integrate business analytics into their masters in accounting programs, right? Now, this makes the entire masters in accounting program STEM certified. All right. So, uh, because of which, now after we did this entire collaboration, all Miles alumni who go to the US to pursue these STEM certified programs get the same 3-year work permit that techies used to get. All right. Now, let's see some of the universities that we have partnered and some of the um, what are the universities that you can work at or study at, right? So we have partnered with some of the top universities that are in the US, right? And just in terms of enrollment numbers, we started off in fall of 2022, where we had about uh, partnered with about 10 universities. Now the number of universities have gone up to like more than 30, and in academic year of 23-24, we had more than 300 students, and this year we are expecting more than 1,000 students to move to the US. All right. And another thing that I want to kind of, highlight over here is one of the main reasons why the Masters in Accounting program was created, right? So let's again take and look at something that is more relatable to us, right? Us Indians. So what is the highest profession or the highest um, degree in accounting in India, right? So it is the CA profession, right? So CAs in India, CA is basically like an umbrella degree. You have to write about 20 exams to pass to get your CA. And apart from that, you have to do 2 years of articleship and all of those things, right? So that is the eligibility criteria to become the gold standard of accountants in India, right? So similarly in the US, the gold standard for accounting is becoming a CPA, right? CPA stands for Chartered Public Accountant, right? So to become a CPA in the US, you basically have to complete your university education. So for every year of education, university education that you complete, you will get X number of credits, right? So in the US, if you complete 1 year of your US university, you'll get 30 credits, right? So unlike India, US undergrad is for 4 years, right? So 30 credits into 4, that's about 120 credits. But there was a gap over here, all right? So to become a CPA in the US, you needed 150 credits, right? So there was a 30 credit gap, because of which masters in accounting was created, all right? So you guys get the entire gist of it, right? So CA in India, to become a CA, you need to pass 20 exams. To become a CPA, which is equivalent of a CA in India, you need to have 150 credits. To get the 150 credits, you need to do 4 years of university education, plus you have to do 1 year of masters in the US. All right. So now, if you can ask, if you go to the US, it's going to be to become like the gold standard. You have to do a lot of things, right? You have to do your CPA, you have to do your master's in accounting, and on top of that, you will have to start working in the US. How are you going to manage all of these things, right? So what we've done, or what US universities have done to make it easier for people to become accountants or CPAs in the US, they have aligned the entire coursework of your CPA curriculum with the Masters in Accounting program, right? So now what does this mean is when you're studying for your Masters, you will also be studying for your CPA, right? Which means there are no additional studies. Maybe there can be a little bit of revision and all those kind of things that you can do, but almost the entire syllabus is related to your master's in accounting program, right? And another thing that you guys might ask is, it's going to be completely expensive, right? So how are we going to do that, right? So what Miles has done is we have partnered with universities to reduce your fees by 30 to 70% through scholarships and other things that we've done, right? So one of the things that we did is we partnered with an Indian top B school called Jackson, and we also spoke to US universities saying that to allow our candidates to pursue 30% of their coursework in India itself, right? Which means out of the entire 30 credits that is there, you'll be doing around 9 credits in India. And once you complete that, those credits will be transferred to your US universities. The reason we did that is because it reduces the time that you spend studying in the US, which means you'll save up on the cost of living in the US, as well as you'll be saving upon your university fees and things like that, right? So second thing that we did was, since we do not send just one or two candidates, we send an entire batch of students to the US, right? Because of which universities are very happy to give us a flat reduction in fees itself, right? So because of which you'll be able to get scholarships of up to 40% if through all the universities, right? And the last thing that we did was we spoke to the US universities and we told them that there should be waivers for Miles candidates in terms of GRE, GMAT, or IELTS and TOEFLs, right? Now, universities have agreed to that, and because of which you do not have to spend time or money giving all these exams in India. All right. Yeah, moving forward, just to give you a breakdown of the cost estimate that is there, you will have to enroll for the Miles US pathway with about 20,000, right? Now, this 20,000 is an out-of-pocket expense, and it is refundable in case your visa is rejected for 2 times, right? We boast a 80% visa rate, but there are still some exceptions, right? What we do in terms of visa training is we have a lot of mocks, we have a lot of simulations, um, and a lot of things that go on behind the entire process. We have an entire team that helps you fill out forms and things like that, right? So this 20,000 is refundable in case your visa gets rejected twice. So yeah. The second step is you enroll for your 9 credits that you'll do in India itself, right? That'll cost about $6,900 and it'll be covered under a loan, right? Now, even this part is refundable in case your visa is rejected twice, all right? And step 3 is you get your I-20 from a US university, right? Now, what is I-20? I-20 is, let's say, it's equal to like a university offer letter or their acceptance letter that you can study in their university, right? Now, this I-20 is very crucial. It is because it kind of shows your visa interviewer on how good your university is, how unique the course is, and things like that, right? So this is very crucial to help you apply for your US F1 visa. All right. And this entire process would cost about $2,000, and it will be an out-of-pocket expense, right? And just to give you guys an understanding that we've also accounted for flight tickets in this entire process. All right. Now, yeah. Step 4 is the Miles Job Readiness Program, right? Now, guys, why are we all here on this call? The main reason that we are here on this call is to work in the US, right? That is the most important aspect of this call, right? Now, to work in the US, there is a gap between the talent that is here in India on what we've grown up, the cultures and the values that we've been taught versus what is there in the US, the cultures and values that they've taught, right? Now, what this entire job readiness program does is kind of brings both of them together, right? It bridges the gap between that. We have n number of mocks that go on with you. There are simulation rounds that go on with you. We have a series that is there on YouTube to kind of show you what exactly recruiters in the US want, right? So we have an entire placement team that basically trains you about interviews in the US and how to crack jobs in the US, right? So, and on top of that, we have an entire corporate relation team which is in the US, who is speaking to firms about their shortage, their needs, and constantly working side by side with the placement team to help all of you all get jobs, right? And one of the main reasons why this step 4 is very important is because how interviews in the US are, right? So interviews in India, when you prepare for them, you prepare technically, right? You kind of revise on, let's say, for example, if you're a tax professional, you revise on all the tax laws that are there, all the deductions that you can remember, and everything that an interviewer might ask regarding the technical aspect of your job, right? But in the US, it's completely different, right? People want to see if you are able to create relationships, maintain relationships with clients, because clients are very important to firms in the US, right? So the client relationships are really important, right? And they want to see if you'll work really well with the partners that are there, if you'll be able to help out team members over there, and things like that, right? And that is what we prepare you for in the in the Miles OPT job readiness program. All right. And step 5 is CPA. Again, the CPA in the US is very important, right? The reason is because it's very simple. If you're in India, you're a hiring manager, you have an MBA, you have a CA, and the role is audit, who do you hire? The answer is very simple, right? You would hire a CA. The reason is because audit requires a CA signature for the audit to be valid, right? But an MBA, although he's aware about how financial statement works and what are all the books and laws and all of that, how to read financial statements and understand all those things, but still the value of a CA signature becomes really important, right, to a firm, especially in terms of audit, in terms of accounting, or in terms of tax, right? So that is the main reason. Similarly, in the US, why they look for predominantly CPAs. All right. And the entire CPA program is also covered under the loan. It'll cost about $2,300. And yeah, step 6.1 and 6.2 are costs that you'll have to bear once you move to the US, right? So 6.1 is your university fees, and it's kind of in the range of 21,000 to 39,000, because university fees depends on the location of the university, and it might vary based on locations, right? If you're, let's say, studying in a prime location like New York, right, the cost of living for someone studying in New York is also completely different from someone studying in, like, let's say, New Jersey, which is right next to New York, but the cost of living is comparatively slightly different, or Rochester, or one of the other states that are there, right? So that's the reason we've kept that in a range, but do not worry, it can also be covered under a loan. And 6.2 is your cost of living or your stay in the US while you are doing your master's in accounting program. This will also be covered under the loan, and we've kept a very nominal value, or we've estimated a very nominal value of $10,000, because you guys are going there with about 40 to 60 other Miles alumni who will be there, right? So we definitely are very confident that you do not want to be alone, right? Because already you'll be away from your family, and on top of that, if you lose completely in touch with your DC side, then what's the point, right? So we assume that you'll be sharing, or you're sharing your accommodation with at least one other person there in the US. And that's the reason we've estimated the cost to be around $10,000. All right. And yeah, let's look at a timeline. What would it be if you just start today, right? So let's say today you enroll for the Miles US pathway. By December, you should get your university offer letter, and by Feb, you should receive your US F1 visa, right? Now, as soon as you get your university offer letter, you can start your 9 credits that is in India, right? So you can start your JAXOM program and complete it before you move to the US itself, right? And by August 2025, you'll be moving to the US. You will start your master's in accounting program. And while in the US itself, while studying for your master's, we advise that you start giving your CPA exam and at least complete 1 to 2 papers by the time you finish your master's. All right. And the remaining papers you can complete even while you are working. All right. So in May of 2026, you'll graduate and start your work in the US. Right. So the ROI, right? Earlier we saw a different kind of ROI, right? So earlier for accountants, it just used to be that $48,000 you spend over here. Let's say it's covered under the loan. $2,000 is what you'd essentially be spending out of pocket. $60,000 is something that you'll earn. Your student loan per year would be around $20,000. Taxes about 5,000 and 15,000 your living cost, right? Now your savings per year would go more than $20,000, right? So translate that to Indian rupees, that's estimated of more than 17 lakhs every year, right? Which is over 3 years, more than 50 lakhs, right? So after 3 years, you'll coming back home to India with more than 50 lakhs in your bank account, right? And that's the main reason. Now, since we are now on par with the tech thing, the tech playbook and things like that, I think we'll be parents who will be promoting our kids to take up accounting courses and move to the US, right? Yeah. So these are some of the cohorts. We've cohorts from Case Western, Michigan, Rutgers, DePaul, right? And we also have some of our alumni, right? What I would like for you guys to bring your attention to is the work experience in India. Sorry. Yeah. So we have accountants who have 10 years of experience, who has 1 year of work experience in India, almost 5 years of work experience in India, and things like that, right? So there is a lot of things that are there, but what is very essential is to just notice how the experience is varied, right? So you do not have to worry if you are someone with 10 plus years of experience or someone with different, right? So yeah, what I would like you guys to also see is another video of class of 2024 who have recently graduated, right?
So today I'm graduating.
Class of 2024.
That moment was truly brilliant.
Super excitement. I mean, it's like dream come true. I am living the true American dream.
What are you most excited about?
Dollar.
To have a job in hand while I graduate, it's just magical, man.
Working as an audit associate in New York, it has been life-changing for me.
Within 2 months, I was able to get a job, which is not something that I hear of.
Coming here itself is the biggest thing, and then getting job is like I made it.
And just believe in yourself and the Miles team.
Now that I'm living this dream, I'm super excited, and thanks to Miles.
So guys, yeah, while the video is playing, I was just going through the chat that was there. I can see a lot of questions from you guys. Please do not worry. I'll make sure that we answer or we take up the questions at the end of the session. But what I want to like take highlights from the video is that just a few months back, or let's say around 18 months back, there were also just like one of y'all sitting in one of these webinars learning about the entire US pathway, right? But right now they are in the US. Now, it's just videos that I'm showing you of these people and images that are here and just some words that are written, right? What I want, or what I would want if I was at your place, is I would want to connect with these people one-on-one and try to understand, right? What are some of the challenges they faced? How was the process that Miles had set up and things like that, right? So what we've done is we've created let's say, a hack for you guys to connect one-on-one with our alumni and ask them about the journey, right? There is a QR code that is present on the screen, and I think our team will also drop in a few links for you guys to schedule these one-on-one with our alumni. And I'll tell you why this is important. All right. So uh okay, just from a small experience of mine, I let's say I want to know what is the visa process, right? I am not very clear. I'm slightly nervous about the questions that the visa officer might ask, right? So I get in touch with one of our Miles alumni who has already been through the entire process, right? So they could tell me that these are some of the questions that the visa officer asked me, and I was prepared. I answered it this way, right? And some of our Miles alumni might have also got some rejections because of some reason, right? Because uh, everyone faces rejections, right? Now, their visa might have been rejected. You can ask them, why was the visa rejected? What are the things that you did differently when you went the second time, right? So, our main goal is to not let you make the same mistakes again, right? Let's say you attend one of these sessions, you go prepared with a few questions, and then you ask the alumni about these questions, they share their experiences, and you implement it in your process, right? It kind of helps, right? It's kind of like a win-win for both you and the alumni as well, right? So but please make sure that if, let's say, if you're booking a session today, you'll be with the alumni in the coming week, please make sure that you value both your time and the time of the alumni, because right now most of them have already started working in the US. So they have a very limited time, and in that time they are trying to take some time out for you to help you with your process. So if you do book these sessions, make sure to attend them and ask your questions and clear those doubts. All right. So yeah, uh, make sure to scan the QR code. There are about only 20 seats that are available for this coming week. All right. So please make sure that you make complete use of this. All right. Uh, I think the team will keep putting the forms in the chat itself. All right. So please make sure that you guys do not miss out. And coming to the last part of this webinar, it's placements in the US, right? How are the placements in the US? Um, some people might just have questions in their mind that, okay, there is a shortage. Firms need accountants. I just told you guys how valuable accountants are in the US, and all those things that I told, right? Why can't I just go on LinkedIn, just fill up a job opening and apply to firms? I'll also get a job, right? Because shortage is there. Where there's demand, I'm the supply. I can just fill in that gap, right? But one of the questions that you'd have to answer on LinkedIn or any of the job posting sites is, do you have the work permit to work in that country? Do you have the work authorization to work in that country? Or would you require sponsorship, right? Now, without the Miles US pathway, without the 3-year OPT program, you will not have an authorized work visa, right? Which means you'll have to tick in the box where you need to tell that you need sponsorship, right? Now, firms will not even look at you if you tick that box, right? The reason is because why will a firm waste their time interviewing someone who they do not even know if it will fit or who can work in their company, right? So, uh, and work visa processes are very huge, and you guys know how long it takes to get someone's work visa done, right? And it completely depends on a lottery system and things like that, right? So that is the main reason. Now, what we've done, what we are also doing is we have an entire team of people in the US. We That's the corporate relations team. A part of the team is Chandu, we have Shrey, and we have a lot of other people who are in the US who are speaking to firms. And what they're doing is they're talking to them about the entire Miles US pathway, right? So right now it's very new for us, as in it's very new for accountants to know that, oh yeah, we can also go to the US and work there for 3 years and all of those things, right? Similarly, it is very new even for firms, right? Firms do not know that they can hire Indian accountants to work in their US offices for 3 years. They only know that there's a 1 year OPT, right? So um, when we go and speak to the firms and we tell them that we have accountants who can work full time with you guys for 3 years, they're also like surprised. They think that it's too good to be true, right? Like that's the reason we had placement drives. We had about 3 placement drives. We had firms like RSM, BDO, Crow, uh, firms from the Allineal Global Alliances come in and all of that, right? Like I would like to show you guys another video where we have firms come and speak to you or show or tell you guys how Miles has helped them through this entire shortage of accountants.
In crisis.
After 2020, we saw people backing out of accounting.
What I never saw coming is the massive staffing shortage.
It's a crisis.
300,000 accountants and auditors leave the profession.
The talent shortage is by far the most pressing thing that as a profession we're dealing with.
There's more CPAs that are retiring than that are coming in.
We live and breathe it every day. It's hard to find experienced talent.
Miles Education approached us and said, hey, we have a solution for you and really help U.S. employers get the help that we need.
Miles Education have really finding a solution.
This is an answer. This is doing something out of the ordinary.
Miles has cracked the puzzle for Indian accountants to work in the US for 3 years. Become a flag bearer for Indian accounting talent as you live the great American dream.
Right? So that is what our entire team in the US is doing, right? Another thing that I want you guys to do is go ahead and follow some of our pages, right? We have follow us on LinkedIn, follow Varun Jain, follow Shrey, follow Chandu, and a lot of people from our US team. I'll tell you why. All right. Now let's say you are interviewing for a firm. Let's say you're interviewing for RSM in US, right? Now, like I told you guys earlier, what is the one difference that is between Indian interviews and interviews in the US? The one of the main difference is that in US they look at if you are a cultural fit, correct? So let's say the interview starts off by Lindsay from RSM asking, how did you get to know about RSM, right? Your answer shouldn't be like, it was suggested to me by Jennifer from the placement team. That's how I applied for you guys, right? That's very bland. That's very boring. Now, what if your answer is somewhere similar to, I saw Chandu from the Miles corporate relations team attend one of your conferences that was held in New York, right? Through that, I read from Chandu's comments that RSM is the place to work in the US because of the cultural activities that they do, because of the firm relations, because of the client relations that RSM has. The kind of work RSM is doing is something that intrigues me or something that draws me to working at RSM, right? Now, let's say you've broken the ice by knowing something that happened. You already knew about a conference that happened with RSM because you were following Chandu, right? Now you've broken the ice with the interviewer, and from there, everything is just smooth for you guys, right? So that is one of the main reasons. I think someone from our team will drop in all the links for you guys to follow. And please make sure you follow, make sure you stay up to date, right? Being or knowledge is power, right? Everyone's heard of that phrase. So be aware of things that are going on in the US, about firms in the US. And yeah. One last question I want to highlight is, what would you do after 3 years, right? Everyone's talking about go to the US, work there for 3 years. Now, what after 3 years, right? Now, plan A for that is you come back to India, right? You come back to India and the Miles team will help you do one of the two things, right? We'll speak to the firms that you're working in the US, and we'll kind of try and find a way where you can work remotely from India. And one of the main reasons firms would be very happy to do that is because you understand the clients, right? You've been working there for 3 years. You understand what the client requires. You understand what the partner requires. and all of those things, right? And so option one would be to continue working remotely for the same firm. And option two, let's say you do not want to work for the same firm, we also have opportunities for you. My 80% of CPAs in India are Miles alumni, and we have tie-ups with Big Fours and top MNCs in India. So it will help you with placement assistance in India itself. And with all of your experience, your estimated CTC would be more than 20 lakh rupees back in India, right? And plan B is H1B visa sponsorship, right? And the reason this is plan B and this is not plan A is because we do not have control over the H1B visa sponsorship, right? Now, to just give you a small understanding of how the entire process works, is this process is not under the discretion of Miles, and it's completely at the discretion of your US employer, right? So if your US employer feels that you're working really well and feels that they need you to be there in the US, what they do is they'd uh, apply for a H1B visa sponsorship. They'll nominate you for the H1B visa sponsorship. And the sponsorship is also, again, it's not like if the your employer nominates you, easily just get it, right? It's not like that. It is subject to a lottery system. And every year, there's a cap of about 85,000 H1Bs, right? So in a year, in the US, there will be only 85,000 H1Bs that will be given out to immigrants, right? So if it totally based on your luck, right? So if you're lucky, you'll get in your first year. If not, if your employer keeps deciding to sponsor you every year, then that's amazing for y'all, right? And this annual cap of 85,000 is further broken down into two categories, right? There's a general regular category of 65,000, and there's a reservation for of 20,000 for people with advanced degrees, right? Now, you do not have to worry about this. Now, since you have done both your masters in the US, you are eligible for both the categories. All right. So that's all that is there about the pathway, guys. You can start off by scanning this QR code, and I'll move to some of the questions that you guys might have. All right. Okay. We'll kind of add this link in the chat so that I can stop presenting and start taking the Q&As. All right. Uh, Someone has asked, I'm pursuing US CMA. Should I continue with that or pursue this? I mean, depends on your goals, right? If you want to work in the US, then you can immediately switch from CPA to pursuing from pursuing CMA to pursuing CPA. That will really help you get a job in the US. All right. So Tanya's asked if you have after clearing CPA, can I start my own practice like CA or CMA? I mean, yeah. You can start your own practice if you're good at business development or bringing in business back to India. But would you be allowed to start your own practice in the US? The answer there is no, because your entire visa says that it is an optional practical training, right? Now training should be done when you are working at another firm, right? So if your question is, can you start your practice in the US, the answer is no. But if can you start your practice in India, then yeah, you can definitely start. But there are a lot of technicalities and all of those things that you go through. But where she has asked, I'm into HR background right now, so how suitable is it for my profile? So there's a form that we have, which is a request callback form. Make sure you fill that out. and our team will get in touch with you in terms of your eligibility, right? Eligibility in terms of your education, right? And our team will kind of assess and see if you are eligible for the entire program, right? So there is no direct no, even if you've done your bachelor's or anything in your tech field also, there's no such boundaries. There are ways that you can still go to the US, all right? This program is for non-Indian nationals as well. Depends on which nationality you are from. So yeah. All right, guys. So thank you so much. I hope the session was helpful. Yeah. Have a good evening.